What is going on, guys? Newton here at the MMO Player, bringing you guys a first look into Vermintide. This is a online MMORPG, set up in a little bit different of a manner. Now, this game is technically an MMORPG, but it's set up into missions as four-player kind of co-op. So, if you guys are kind of familiar with, I guess I would compare it to Diablo 3. It's an MMORPG in a sense, but you pair up with only four other players to run missions, and it's all online. You can join with friends, join with random people, you collect loot, join other people, and so on. So it's a pretty cool game as far as things go. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, this game is it's really cool. I enjoy it quite a bit. It's different from other games that I've really played, but I gotta say the way that this game is set up and the way they kind of made this game is fantastic. It's great. It's a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed it quite a bit. So let's get right into it. Now, it's a kind of online MMORPG in a sense, but you're set up into kind of a hub-based game. So you kind of got this main area right here, which is the main kind of hub of the game, the inn, which is basically where you go to talk to other players, ready up for missions, interchange your gear, select and pick new missions, create new gear, disenchant gear, and so on. This is where you're going to do a lot of the stuff in between actually playing the game. This is kind of where you're going to do a lot of the side stuff, which is kind of nice. As I enjoy hub-based games. Just for the sense of simplicity, I gotta say. I do enjoy exploration, don't get me wrong, but the mission maps in this game are very, very big, and you do get pretty good sense of exploration when running missions, which is pretty cool. So, before we get into some missions, I'm gonna kind of show you kind of the different characters and the breakdown of the game. Now, here's our inventory. Now, as you can see here, we have quite a few different characters we can select from. First, we have the Witch Hunter, we have the Way Watcher, the Dwarf Ranger, the Bright Wizard, and the Empire Soldier. Now, there's 5 different classes, and generally the difference between all of them is kind of the weapons that they use in their play style. Now, generally speaking, a lot of them can be a little bit similar depending, but each one does each does have their own uniqueness about them, which is really cool and nice. Now, 5 is not a lot, but I do hope they do introduce more in the future. They definitely could with the Warhammer lore that this game is based off of, but for now, there's a good amount of customization and uniqueness to each class based on what weapons they use, which is pretty cool. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now let's go. The Witch Hunter, I should say, it's a melee class, which most of these are, except for the Wizard, are generally all melee based. And this guy can utilize two-handed weapons, one-handed weapons, and he utilizes guns and so on. I can't really break down to what each class does. It's just kind of a different variation of their weapon use. Now, this guy or she is also a melee-based class. She utilizes fast attacks with two-handed dual-wielding daggers or dual-wielding swords and so on. Her ranged weapon is a bow or a longbow, which is pretty cool, pretty effective, and it does a ton of damage. Next is the Dwarf. Now, this guy can be utilized as a tank or a melee DPS. Now, either way, he can kind of be the one who kind of leads the charge. He can use sword and shield, two-handed axe, two-handed sword, two-handed hammer, and so on. Generally speaking, this guy he's really good as a tank. He has a lot of damage mitigation, which is really nice. If you guys can use him as a shield and make really good with blocking attacks, this guy will never die, and I've had a lot of fun running with the Dwarf. He's really good, a lot of fun. He's a little short, so if you're kind of used to playing the taller classes, because this game is in first person, it may be a little bit weird at times, but he's a lot of fun, and one of my favorite classes, I gotta say. Next is the Bright Wizard. This is a class I enjoy quite a bit. This one does utilize a lot more range through your staffs. Now, you can utilize this class as melee through using one-handed swords, but generally the way you play this character is through the staffs that you use. Each one has different effects. There's a bolt staff, there's a fire staff, and there's another different variation of the fire staff, and each one kind of changes up their charge up attack, so each one has different properties. But generally, if you're good with the class, she does have kind of a drawback by utilizing the range all the time. She does start to overheat, and if she overheats, she'll explode and you die. So there's a lot of management that goes on with playing the Wizard, but she's really strong, really good, as long as you're careful and you make sense of or you take notice of when she's overheating. And next is the Empire Soldier. This guy's kind of like the Witch Hunter, but he utilizes two-handed hammers, swords, and so on, and his ranged weapon is a gun or a blunderbuss, which is kind of like a cannon on a stick, or I can compare it to an old school shotgun, which is really cool. This guy's a lot of fun to play. He's really good, but generally, all the classes are pretty cool. They're very fun. Each has their own uniqueness to them, and you can collect lots of different weapons and customize them accordingly. So enough about that. Let's go ahead and get into playing some missions. Now this is the mission map. There's a lot of different missions you can kind of run in this game, and each one has 5 different difficulties. Now this game does get extremely challenging. Now running this game on, let's see, what is it? The easiest difficulty is easy, and normal is not too bad. It offers a decent amount of challenge. Once you start getting into hard, it starts getting a bit challenging. And Nightmare and Cataclysm is where friendly fire comes into play, so this game becomes a very hardcore RPG, making you really gotta watch out and think out your every move, because as you're fighting these hordes of monsters, you want to kill them, but you do not want to kill your teammates. So let's go ahead and view the mission map, which is a good way to kind of pair up with other players. Let's go ahead to the lobby browser. We're gonna go ahead and select the mission. Let's go ahead and the one over here, difficulty, we're gonna do on normal, and let's go ahead and figure out which ones are available. Now let's see, nothing. Oh, we got one on normal right here. We can go ahead and join them. We're gonna go ahead and do that. It's matchmaking. We're gonna join up with 3 other players and get right into it. So it's a good way to oh, we can play the dwarf. Sweet. So my class was available. Now one thing about this game is no 2 people can play the same class while running a mission, which is very interesting, and you gotta think out which characters you have. So you gotta have different synergies with other characters. So you kinda can't all just run as a wizard, kinda keep a range and keep blowing things up with fire. So each person has to play a different class, which is kind of cool and brings a different dynamic to the game, because you do get to try out a lot of different classes and learn how each one works. So here we are in the game. We're gonna go ahead and where are we? We're kind of right at the beginning of the mission, so we're not too far along, which is not too bad. Let's see where these guys are going. Seems like we're waiting for the next wave of monsters all the way up there. Oh, this guy's already going. He's going ham over there. Alright, so I guess we're gonna follow him and we're gonna go on. Now generally how this game works is basically it's an RPG, or it's a game where you fight hordes of Skaven, which is a race in Warhammer, which are these rat people, and basically you run through to kind of get different capture points or different waypoints or escape points through the mission. Each one has different objectives, and basically you got to complete it while grinding through and killing these waves of monsters without dying. Now, you do get the opportunity to use health potions if you do get low on health, but you can only use 1 health potion until you find another one. And as the difficulty increases with this game and the game gets more harder, health potions become more scarce. So there's a lot of skill involved with this game and a lot of map awareness. You gotta really take notice of the maps and learn how each one works, because you want to make use of where all the chests are and gather as much resources as you can and make full use of them. So it's a really cool game. I've enjoyed it quite a bit. It's a lot of fun. I put a decent amount of hours into it, but it really does get challenging, which makes the game really fun. Now, as far as graphics go, the graphics in this game are fantastic. They're beautifully done. But for requirements as far as the game goes, it does take a mid-range to higher GPU to run. I'm running this game on medium at about 30 to 35 FPS. Now, is it beautiful on higher settings? Absolutely. This game looks fantastic maxed out. But it does take quite a hefty computer to run, which is a bit of a downfall, but if you can run it, it's definitely a game worth checking out and picking up. Now, this game is not free. It does have a one-time buy of, I believe it's $30, and you can get it cheaper on sales. I picked up this game for 20 bucks during the winter sale, which is not too bad at all. So definitely pick this game up while it's on sale. Definitely worth it. I do recommend it because there's a ton of hours to be had and played in this game, especially if you have friends. It's a great game to play with friends, but even if not, the online matchmaking is fantastic, and it takes no time to pair you up with other players. As you can see, it really took me no time to kind of find people who wanted to run the mission that I wanted to run and get right into a game. So let's go ahead and keep continuing on. We're going to keep fighting through these waves of monsters. Now, I'm not taking too much damage. This is on normal, so it's not too difficult. I did complete every mission in this game on normal, and I was starting to work on hard. Now, if you complete every single mission on a one of the difficulties, you do get banners inside of your inn, which is really cool and kind of a way to kind of make this game appealing to completionists, which is one thing I like to do in games. I definitely want to collect all the banners at some point, but it does take a little bit of grinding and working to get really, really good weapons and a good group to kind of fight and make your way through the harder difficulties. But generally, this is kind of how the game works. It's pretty straightforward. You pick a mission, each one has different objectives, you make your way through the map, and try to survive as best as you can. Now, if you do end up falling and dying, your teammates can resurrect you once they get the opportunity to, but upon doing so, your health is not fully restored. Your health is restored to a point, but will slowly start to deteriorate until you find yourself bandages or potions. So as you can see, it gets very, very challenging upon higher difficulties, and you definitely do not want to die because potions become scarce and the game becomes very, very hard. So I don't know what we're doing now. We can definitely start pushing forward and progressing. We can kind of watch out for those guys. We can start going over here. Now, what is our teammates doing? I don't know what they're doing. Now we're going. Okay, took them a little while. There we go. We're going to switch over to our ranged weapon. Now, as far as ranged weapons go, you got to make good use of them as well. Oh, I don't know why I used a health potion. That wasn't good on my part. That's okay. I'm not too worried about it. Oh, we got a rat ogre. Okay, so that's one thing about this game is there's some strong monsters such as these rat ogres that sometimes appear, and in higher difficulties, these guys will destroy your team if not if you guys are not careful. I have some really good synergy. Now, definitely one thing you want to watch out is for those guys because they can kind of make or break the mission, and they're very, very easy, or they do a really, really easy job of wiping you guys out. So, very careful. Utilize ranged weapon on those guys. Ranged weapons do quite a bit of damage, and it's always good to kind of be careful when approaching those guys. So let's go ahead and, we got medical supplies, so that's good. We got bandages, because we used our potion accidentally, which is not good. And let's see, we got a tome. Alright, sweet. Now, as you can see, the other player over there just picked up a tome. Now, what does that do? The tome allows us to roll dice at the end of the mission. At the end of every mission, you get to utilize a dice roll, and based on how many times you roll the dice and how many points you get is how good of gear you'll get at the end of the mission. The more dice rolls and the more numbers that you get, the better quality of gear that you get at the end of the mission. Now, there's also no guarantees that the weapon will be for your class. It could be for any one of the classes, which is okay, but I mean, generally you'll probably use just about all the classes in this game, because at some points there will be times where somebody plays your class and you gotta play something else you maybe not be a fan of, but you gotta get the mission done. So, not too bad. Loot is random. It could be a little bit better. I wish there was a little bit ways to kind of increase the drop rate for your class, but it's alright, it's not too bad. But we're going to go ahead and keep going on. And as you can see, oh, there's an assassin over here. We want to watch out for him. There we go. He just got me. I was just about to explain what assassins do, but this is what they do. They go into stealth, and they jump on you, and they keep stabbing you until you die, or one of your teammates can kill them or get them off of you. So, very, very important to watch out for those guys if you see them. So we're going to go ahead and pick up the tome for our party over here. And we're going to go through and keep continuing on with the mission. But generally, this is how the game works. It's, every mission is, I don't want to say similar, but kind of runs the same. You fight through hordes of enemies, which I've explained, with different objectives and different things to do at the end. But overall, that's this is pretty much Vermintide. It's a really cool game, and future DLC for the game is planning on releasing soon. And they did say that future DLC will be free. So if you guys are interested in this game and think you can justify spending $30 on playing the game, future DLC for this game will be free, which is absolutely awesome. I appreciate that. I love that. There's going to be so much more content that they plan to release for this game, especially being in the Warhammer fantasy. There's a lot they can do with this game, which makes me really, really excited. But other than that, if you guys have enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more. But until next time, guys, I will talk to you later.